The door is to be latched and bolted shut upon entry and shall not reopen until a complete check. Fuck this shit. Ellie impatiently groaned, glaring at the ominously observing camera above. Its gaze was trained upon her, any action she was expected to perform requiring constant surveillance as if she'd enact a dire situation otherwise. She gave it the middle finger. Hey, assholes. Her foot pounded the asphalt with the vigor of a power tool. You deployed us at the reactor already. Can you give us the damn tools? I honestly don't know what ungodly protocol prevented that from happening earlier. A low crackle popped from the camera's body. Miss Davidson, a voice demanded from the mechanism. If you're looking for the protocol that made us unable to give you the equipment beforehand, Section 38, Paragraph 2, Line 15, no active... Shut up. Ellie waved him off. I'm criticizing the fucking thing. I don't know it by heart, obviously. I still know what it entails. I'm just calling it stupid. How long until we're gonna get them then? Within her hazmat suit, her sable hair was a tousled mess that shot out random strands as if artificial spikes. Even yet, I felt as if any contact with it would actually injure you. 2 minutes and 39 seconds, they responded. Jackson and Carlos are to be presenting you with your listed equipment in that allotted time. By the way, you will be retrieved should you endanger Peter, or the objective at hand. Stick that unneeded comment up your ass. You know me, Maxine. There's a reason why I was presented with a medal for my duty as a liquidator. That ain't gonna happen. The pure raspiness along with the absolute spite radiated from her mouth, nearly any words exiting being completely negative. The camera buzzed once more, its face drooping as Maxine relinquished operation of it, knowing no conversation with Ellie would result in a proper conclusion. Jesus Christ. Ellie rubbed down her face, her eye sockets unfurling. I want to, in a word, smack her upside the head. I rubbed the back of my scalp sheepishly, a toothy grin accompanying it. Well, at least now, you got a time frame, right? No need to complain anymore. I shrugged. You want my foot up your ass? A roaring inferno bellowed from within her twitchy carnal eyes, now turned on me. Nope. I pointed at her while clicking my teeth. Jamie's job. An intercom from within our suits buzzed to life. You know, baby. Jamie confirmed gleefully, a slight chuckle partnering the prideful claim. Anyway, the two should be just about approaching you right now. A dandelion-hued off-roading truck catapulted an arc of sediment in the air as the tires of it screeched towards us, the rubber clearly not liking their treatment. From our position, two figures in cyan hazmats, unlike our blinding yellow, were seated within the driver and passenger seat respectively. Rattles yelled from the rear holding area of the truck, clearly our equipment. We knew these two. About time, Jackson, I called playfully. They hit the brakes, the one driving saluting us while climbing out of the interior and into the back. Yep, he responded. Come get your shit. Within the array of equipment he tossed down to us, a number of them were make-or-break tools that liquidators needed in order to perform their duties. Geiger counter, a radioactive container that was meant to store any unsafe material and bring it away. A hacksaw to chip at any metal that might barricade an object of note, etc. All the stops. As the last one flung from the back, Jackson studied us with approval. Gotta hand it to you, I would have never volunteered for this one, he admitted, pulling his arm from the sleeve to scratch his head. There's a reason why it's been closed off for so long. Can it with the edge of your marks, Jackson? Ellie scoffed, retrieving the items from him. We obviously know. He threw his hands above his shoulders in a manner to rid him of all fault. Just saying, he began, outstretched for the truck's handle to re-enter. You two don't die. Throwing him a formal wave, 2 fingers moving back and forth from the head, I pursued his joke. Will do. The entrance to the reactor was security beyond words. A colossal yet patient duo of silver metal doors were at the beginning of the place, nearly 30-some feet in height, along with being 20 feet wide. Its size was so completely immense that its mesmerizing opening sequence lasted nearly a full minute. Within, a digital scanner was presented with power from a distant generator after the place had fallen, made to detect specific cards of employees. Luckily for us, due to being liquidators, we had one etched in our suits, acting similar to a skeleton key, granting us access to every single reactor within the country. Convenient, I thought, never having to dwelled upon it before. However, an unnerving aspect laid last, acting as the third means to prevent intruders. A sleek concrete panel, numbers listed from 0 to 9, along with a punch key that voided the previous input. Above, a fragmented blue screen blinked furiously as its faulty wiring attempted to power it. Please enter your designated code. An off-kilter female voice brokenly commanded from a speaker on the bottom of the panel, the tone being impartially robotic. I'll do it. Ellie presented her hand in front of me. She lifted the underside of her wrist to the location of the card, which also held the clearance code. The panel's voice, through distorted speech, read off the 7-number pin, playing a warped jingle and forcing the scream a lime hue, before we heard the door snap, to which Ellie pried it open. Our Geiger counters roared to life as we made it in, the reader soaring from millisieverts into the actual sievert range. These levels of pure, unadulterated radiation were something that would not hesitate to sever your genes in an instant. Keep in mind, Jackson questioned our decision in venturing here because of such a potency. Normal meltdowns were usually only of a quarter magnitude. This alone was an anomaly in of itself. Peter! Ellie jolted me back out of my tunnel vision. Oh, Jesus, sorry. I calmed my panicking breath. You good? She raised an eyebrow. Everything good in that hollow head of yours? I nodded, putting off her common insult. Great. From the briefing before deployment, the object of interest is something known as the fucking lion's tongue? Holy shit, how less creative can you get ripping off Chernobyl's elephant's foot? Easier to remember? I shrugged. Maybe. Anyway, using the containers that the 2 morons brought us, we're supposed to collect the body of mass that contains uranium, some molten concrete, sand, all of the materials that coalesced when this place went to hell. Gonna need help holding up the heavy container? I playfully elbowed. An egotistical smile grew upon her face. You wish. Our collective intercom within the suit buzzed to life, Jamie's voice now being heard by the 2 of us. Holy hell! We heard her comment, totally bewildered. Your counters are going through the roof right now. Good observation, Captain Obvious. Ellie snickered. Ignoring her, she spoke to me. From prior deployments, what you're looking for is within the south wing. You 2 are currently in the east. Head directly in front of you, then you should be greeted by another man-trap. That's the thing with the 3 means of entrances. Will do, I confirmed nonchalantly. And, Jamie's voice paused, please don't die. Thanks for the encouragement. I'll be sure to hopefully follow it. Ellie and I laughed. No words expelled through the speaker once more, but after a prolonged moment, we heard the noise of the microphone being let down and it severed the call. Well, you heard the girl, Ellie excitedly chimed. Let's go get this shit. Unlike myself, Ellie was a pretty eccentric daredevil when it came to being a liquidator. She'd have no earthly problem with traversing over places such as these, willing to put full faith in her suit to shield her from the harmful radiation. Because of this, it was the repeated occurrence of her being the one to collect the harmful material that needed to be removed, hands only a few inches from being seared off with radioactive chemicals, separated via a granted, sturdy black layer of rubber. We'd earned a plethora of awards due to her reckless bravery, being labeled as people who are willing to quite literally put our lives on the line, or worse, obtaining radiation burns. I wish to not earn those. Many of our colleagues were obliged to resign once their skin began to blister and show their debilitating injury. Stop daydreaming, dumbass. Ellie violently shook my arm. That's twice, literally in less than 2 minutes. Get that fixed before we get in there. Sorry, I meekly apologized, feigning a smile. Was just wondering. As we inched closer towards the south wing, my foot made contact with something that echoed a revolting squelch, similar to squashing a tomato. Glancing down, I catapulted back in trepidation as I was greeted by an incomprehensible sight. I'd just walked over a person. That squelch was their arm. Jesus Christ! I wailed, marginally tripping over myself. Their deceased body was imprisoned in another brand of hazmat, curled into the fetal position with their knees about hitting their chest. Through the see-through covering of their face, I cringed, making out it was disheveled and plagued, with a discolored layer of skin, presumed to be the impartial fault of radiation. Their eyes had unnaturally ejected themselves from their sockets, now loosely hanging about only shortly below their pulverized nose. Rotten teeth littered their gaping abyss of a mouth, a dried coagulation of phlegm and blood coating their torso with an adherent coat of now brown paste. It pained me to realize their corpse had laid unretrieved for ages. Every other detail had been shrouded by the rest of the hazmat, although I was certain I wished not to witness them. Ellie was more concerned with the age of the carcass rather than its necrotic condition, her face contorted into confusion. Huh, she blurted, lifting the body up. No residue on the ground. They perished in there. You think? I shrieked, not understanding her calmness. Keep your pants on, crybaby. I'll bring Jamie back on the line. The radio crackled, and Ellie began describing the corpse in gruesome detail to Jamie and the others overseeing our task. The line was completely silent for a good while. What is their code? Maxine now interjected. Ellie read them off. 6218933. We are going to check that, and you are not lying, are you? Both her and I became confused. No? She was unsure of herself as well as feeling insulted. Why would I feel the need to make something like this up? Jamie inhaled. 933 is the N code for our sister unit, located in San Diego. We haven't gotten any contact with them for a good while. That answered their concern. The spooky thing, 6-2 is the starting digits for their officers. There's no one higher than them. Ellie's eyes widened in realization, yet still not showcasing any obvious sign of worry. Well, she began. Damn. We heard the microphone shuffle once more, a collective gasp emanating from our supervisors before Jamie's cracking groan could be heard piercing through. What now? Ellie demanded. That's the head officer, James M. Leichenhall. Why is he in there? Jamie hesitatingly questioned. Ellie threw her hands up and donned a frustrating and puzzled expression. How the fuck do you expect me to know that? I don't, Jamie boomed. Curb your ego, Ellie. I was asking myself. Scouring his mangled form, I was reading oddly low amounts of sieverts emanating from it. It had decreased to what was normal of a meltdown, and given this place contained 4 times the amount, it was fairly odd. I eyed Ellie with understanding irritation, hitting my intercom on. "Stop with the jackass attitude. We'll continue on," I told our supervisors. "I know I freaked out, but as long as we don't have anything lethal threatening our objective, then there's no reason why not." The microphone was tousled, eventually leading to Maxine now speaking. "Please do. And do not interrupt me, Ellie. If you speak harshly to us once more in a serious circumstance such as this, you will be terminated from your duty as a liquidator." Her threat impaled Ellie like a sharpened spear, clearly something she directly opposed happening. Another sizzle, and the intercom fell quiet. "Well," her mischievous grin returned. "Let's go." My lungs heaved. "Fine." "Get up!" Ellie furiously convulsed me, her grip around my arms impossibly unyielding. "3rd time!" Her voice rang deafeningly in my ears. "That is the 3rd time you've done this shit! In 5 minutes!" I was confused as to her apparent vexation. In my mind, I'd been clearly in the moment. "What are you talking about?" My arms trembled, wishing me to slug her. "You literally almost fell asleep," she roared, "leaving me alone in this shithole." "I've been awake the whole time." Her hand hit her face and fell down in an apparently snappy manner. "Alright," Ellie clapped. "You do it again, I don't want to worry about you. So, I'll get you out of here. Carlos and Jackson can pick you up, and I'll do it myself." My fist unconsciously swerved towards her arrogant face, only to be averted by her sidestepping. "I guarantee you that fighting me won't result in something good for you," she warned. "Listen, okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but I guess if I don't have to hear you bitch anymore, then I'm all for it. Me staying here or you bringing me out. Fine with either. Sorry I did it, it's done, can we go?" I angrily questioned. Ellie swiveled once more back around, now facing the looming man-trap that led to an object of interest. Following the instructions she'd performed once we'd entered, I nearly passed out upon witnessing the horror inside. Now gazing upon the accumulation of material that had collected here, it wasn't purely radioactive residue. Why is there people laying bare in this hazardous fucking mess? I was taken aback. Unlike the head officer, the outcomes of all the mutilated corpses were of a much more unexplainable and heinous fate. Every flake of skin from the uncountable bodies here had piled adjacent to them, a nauseating pyramid of dead cells, as if a colony of snakes had shed years of themselves off. All their muscle was illogically preserved in perfect manner, the only difference being its singed hue that resembled a maroonish purple. Except for their faces. It had pulled itself into their ears, nose, mouth, any possible opening it would writhe itself into. Wasn't sure if muscle could even hold such an impossible shape. Several of them contained a completely absent lower body, with semi-exposed ribs being a common occurrence. The mass of toxic waste coagulated around the bone, seemingly choosing whether or not to dissolve the now brittle material. Some were just empty husks, uninhabited body structures that contained no remains of their skeleton or nervous system. Ellie was apparently unperturbed, seeking any preserved remains of their tags to relay back to Jamie. My throat wheezed meekly, feeling as if all the air I'd contained had dissipated in an instant, unable to collect more. I felt my internal temperature plummet as a reaction to a primal sort of fear I'd never experienced in my life. Not even the most gruesome cases Ellie and I had been assigned to had amounted to the scared shitless I was now. The pure uncanniness of this image radiating so vastly it pummeled me twice over. Yet, the most incredulously subtle detail was perhaps the most terrifying. Houses were normal. They seemed to just be going about their business of what either looked like their occupation or a general sweep similar to us liquidators. No indication of them reacting to what was happening. In a singular instance, it seemed. Jamie, we found more bodies. Ellie shot me out of my paralyzed trance by calling into the intercom. She didn't respond. Jamie. Nothing. Maxine, her voice raised in volume. Literally anyone at the observation room? Once more, her inquiry of someone being there was met silently. Her gaze turned upon me, raising her eyebrows as she expected me to already have in mind for what she wished for me to do. Still somewhat dazed, I coughed out a question. What? Ellie groaned. Oh my god, see if your intercom works, jackass! Uh-oh. I switched the device on. My body lurched as I was greeted by an ear-ringing static, an incredibly unwanted sign. I nearly tore the suit apart as I hurried to throw my hands atop my ears. Well, shit. She brushed her messy hair from her eyes, lightly scratching her forehead. That's not a good sign. These things are made to withstand, well, insane amounts of radiation. The fact that it stopped working. Do we backtrack and just call for retrieval? I shakily inquired. No, our suits are made to withstand literal kilosieverts. We aren't even at the lion's tongue yet. Vomit upchucked from my stomach into my mouth. I couldn't even process what might lay where that mass resides. Ellie finally began to acknowledge my anxiety, her face contorting into concern as she witnessed me hyperventilating. Listen, she began. Sorry for, making you take the piss. If you are really unable to continue, we can call it off. I probably think they'd understand if we did so. No. We were already too deep to call it off. There's 2 man traps ahead. We just gotta get through it. Then you can call my ass a pussy all you want. I assured. Maybe I'll skip that today. She grimaced, fingers clenching into balled fists. Becoming hushed, Ellie kneeled to inspect the tags, scribbling them down with haste via a pen we'd been supplied with in viscous orange ink upon her suit sleeve. Springing up, her face furrowed into a disgruntled yet accepting long-range stare, teeth somewhat exposed as she clenched them violently. Scraping forward, the next 2 traps were a mangled amalgamation of electric parts, exposed wires flinging out sparks that shoved a thread of fire directly into our face. The overhead skylight that had served as our main source of light was now beginning to recede. No space left for it to squeeze through and provide us with a method of continuing on. Impatiently, Ellie jammed the flash on her receiver counter on, projecting a haunting glow upon the increasingly widening hallway. OPJ's in the next room, she muttered. We collect the material, then get out. I remained silent. Ellie sighed. Please, are you alright? No, but don't worry about it. I want to get out of here as fast as possible. Turning back around, we continued on. Our footsteps clamped against the marble flooring, reverberating throughout. They were clear and thunderous, which shouldn't have been the case. If anything, Approaching the singularity of this issue, our counter should have been screaming in response. But it wasn't. It had refrained from even making a peep since our connection got severed. Raising the device to my face, it was reading the normal background radiation that resided upon the Earth. Spotting my action through her peripheral, Ellie's expression finally began to contort into anxiety. "There's nothing that is radioactive near us?" Her breathing became heavy. "I don't need to be a genius to know that isn't right." I was unable to respond. A tug within my mind was bellowing at me that this wasn't correct, as if that hadn't become evident already. Every fiber of my being yanked to turn the other way. Although Ellie had already unlatched the door. The metal sign weakly plastered adjacent had completely withered. Unreadable. "There's nothing in here." Her voice seemed to grow distant before I felt the refreshing welt of her slap upon my face. I was about to fall unconscious once more. "Stay with me here." Is this where the thing is?" I shivered out. "It should be, but this room's empty. Literally of anything." Her cadence fell. "Well, what do we do?" "I don't know. Was this just a gigantic waste of time? Why were we put in here just to have nothing?" My sight of her was fading. Shifting forward, at least attempting to do so, I felt it impossible. Those supposed fibers that compelled me to move were metaphorical. From the perspective of Ellie. "It was a suicide mission. That's why we'd been sent here. Those pricks that sent us along this stupid assignment out of malice." My Geiger counter was screaming now. 9750 sieverts. Twice the lethal limit of our suit. Not to mention an inordinate amount above natural exposure. I was feeling it, even through the material. My muscles felt as if they were churning through a wood chipper. Skin somehow molting whilst my bones were sanded into a powder. It was agonizing. Through the very limited view I had of my face, it had become disfigured already. "Ellie!" Peter's incredibly garbled voice pierced my dissolving ears. "Help!" The sight was horrifying. His eyes peeled from their sockets with the same caliber as an orange, nose detaching without any bond to now hold it. Flaking off, the inner rimming of his face had slothed off. All tools connected onto his person pattered the ground like loose change, either shattering or dismantling completely. He was dying. Through an intense surge of pain, I attempted to rush over to him, snagging his rapidly decaying body to sprint out of the building. I couldn't even imagine the agony my person holding onto him was doing, but if he carried the chance at surviving, I wasn't gambling on it. My thigh, it was necrotizing. The suit was raking against the naked arteries within. Fuck. My throat cursed. I had no spare time to redo the man-traps, fiercely pounding through them as he suffered through his journey of becoming deceased. The light now pouring within the skylight again, the flutters of my heart began beating irregularly, hoping. Too late. He'd perished. Why didn't I listen to him? My conscience berated me. should have just listened to his worries and left. The person who'd accompanied me along that you need to get out. I heard my own words in my ear. Choosing to follow its directions, I dashed out of the labyrinth, the delightful afternoon sun, searing the last remnants of my skin. Why? Why had they sent us on this? They feigned their concern of our well-being and the cluelessness of what we'd uncovered, just for us to deal with the worst circumstance known to man. My jaw, it snapped off, falling into the reaches of the hazmat. I was dying too. Hugging the deformed corpse of Peter, my body gave in, the world around me closing.